Woman falls into a lion enclosure. What happened next? No one expected. The warm midday sun scorched the dusty paths of the zoo as Lena and her friend Max strolled past the enclosures. It was a perfect day, at least for Max. Enthusiastically, he pointed at the different animals, but Lena found it increasingly difficult to focus. Her steps felt heavy, her thoughts sluggish. She knew she had barely eaten anything today, but she didn't think it mattered. "I'll grab something later," she had told herself. But now, there was a slight tremor in her hands, a dull sensation in her head. She ignored it, offering Max a faint smile when he asked if she was okay. "I'm fine," she murmured, forcing herself to stay upright. As they reached the lion enclosure, Max suddenly stopped. "Look at that one," he called out excitedly, pointing at the mighty alpha lion lounging in the shade. Lena leaned against the railing and bent forward slightly. The ground beneath her feet suddenly felt softer, as if it had given way. A ringing noise filled her ears. Her vision narrowed. The voices of the other visitors blurred, her knees buckled. A brief moment of clarity, then everything around her went black. A piercing scream tore through the air. A heavy thud. The world around Max erupted into chaos as he saw Lena topple over the barrier and fall into the enclosure. People screamed, hands flew to their heads, someone ran for help. Max's heart skipped a beat as his eyes darted downward. There, on the sandy floor of the enclosure, lay Lena, motionless. And just a few meters away, the lions began to stir. A searing pain shoots through Lena's body as she slowly regains consciousness. The hot sand beneath her palms feels surreal, almost as if she has fallen into a dream. But the ringing in her ears quickly fades into an eerie silence. A deep, guttural growl makes her breath catch. With trembling fingers, she pushes herself up slightly and lifts her head. Then she sees him. No more than 2 meters away stands the alpha lion, a massive, majestic beast, its golden eyes piercing straight through her. Around her, the other lions have formed a silent, ancient tribunal, their presence suffocating in its intensity. Lena's heart pounds so hard it echoes in her ears. She knows she cannot run. Any sudden movement could trigger the lion's instincts. Her gaze remains locked on the alpha, who continues to watch her, as if assessing her. Hunter or prey? The seconds stretch into eternity. A massive paw print in the sand, just inches from her, sends a shiver down her spine, despite the heat burning against her skin. She can feel the lion's warm breath, see the slight movement of its fur in the wind. Her fingers instinctively dig into the sand, her body frozen in place. Then, something unexpected happens. The lion moves, but not to attack. Slowly, almost deliberately, he tilts his head slightly to the side and studies her with an expression she cannot decipher. It is not rage, not hunger, it is something else, curiosity. The king of beasts seems to be observing her as if she were some strange creature that does not belong here, yet poses no threat. The other lions remain still, as if waiting for his judgment. Lena dares not breathe. She knows. Her fate now depends on a single decision, one she will not be the one to make. At the top of the enclosure, chaos reigns. People are screaming, some running for help, others frozen in shock, their phones held high. Max is as pale as a ghost, his hands gripping the railing so tightly his knuckles turn white. His gaze never leaves Lena. "Lena, hold on," he shouts desperately, but she barely hears him. The lions are still surrounding her, and every second counts. The zookeepers know the situation is extremely dangerous. The lions haven't attacked yet, but their instincts could kick in at any moment. One of the keepers reacts instantly. With a swift, practiced motion, he hurls a large chunk of meat to the far end of the enclosure. It's a gamble against time. For a moment, nothing happens. Then, as if responding to a silent command, the lions turn their heads toward the thrown meat. The alpha hesitates, his eyes still locked onto Lena, as if he's still deciding. But finally, with a deep rumbling growl, he turns and slowly, powerfully strides away. This is the moment the keepers have been waiting for. Without hesitation, two men jump into the enclosure. Suddenly, Lena feels hands on her arms, strong, determined. "We've got you," one of the men calls. Her body feels heavy, her limbs still weak. But her survival instinct kicks in. With the last of her strength, she clings to her rescuers as they haul her upward with all their might. As soon as she reaches the top railing, more hands grasp her and pull her over the barrier. Her body trembles uncontrollably, her breath coming in ragged gasps. Max rushes to her immediately, pulling her into a tight embrace. "Oh my God, Lena," he whispers, his voice shaking. But Lena barely hears him. Her eyes are still locked onto the enclosure. The alpha lion has not gone to the meet. He still stands at the edge of the sand, his golden eyes fixed on her. Not as prey, not as an enemy, but as something he will never fully understand. Lena lies in a sterile hospital bed, the room smelling of disinfectant, with the soft beeping of the monitor filling the air. She feels exhausted, but she is alive. Next to her, Max sits holding her hand, his face still pale with worry. A doctor approaches the bed, her expression serious. "Your blood sugar was far too low. Combined with the heat and the strain of the day, it was a dangerous combination," she explains. "You were lucky. If you had fallen differently or if the lions had reacted another way." The doctor doesn't finish the sentence, but Lena understands. She swallows hard. She had put herself in this situation because she hadn't given her body what it needed. The images of the last few hours still flash vividly in her mind. The fall, the burning sand, the glowing eyes of the alpha lion. She remembers the moment she was pulled over the railing to safety, and the lion's gaze as he looked at her one last time. Was it respect or just indifference? She will never know. But one thing she now understands with absolute certainty: humans are not invincible. She had thought she was strong enough to go without food, that a few hours of hunger wouldn't matter. But her body had taught her a lesson, one she would never forget. When Lena is discharged the next day, she feels changed. She holds Max's hand a little tighter as they leave the hospital together. "I'm going to take better care of myself," she says softly. Max gives her a weak smile. "I hope so." Lena lifts her head, taking in a deep breath of fresh air. She will no longer neglect herself, not because it's a rule, but because her life is worth more than reckless decisions. That day, Lena realized how important it is to take care of your body. Eating is not something you can postpone. It is the foundation of our energy, strength, and ultimately, survival. Her collapse could have had fatal consequences, but she was lucky. Luck that cannot be taken for granted. From that moment on, she made sure to eat regularly and give her body what it truly needed. Not out of fear, but from the understanding that self-care is not a luxury, but a necessity. What do you think about this incredible story? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another gripping story. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and share it with your friends and family. Follow us for more amazing real-life stories.